Welcome. Today, we're not just talking politics. We're uncovering a deeper truth the world tries to bury. This isn't about headlines or hashtags. It's about power, pride, and purpose. It's about a rising India, a shifting world, and the silent war being waged, not with bullets, but with influence, fear, and deception. This is a call to wake up, to see beyond what they want you to see. Stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear will shake your understanding, stir your spirit, and remind you exactly why truth, once spoken, can never be silenced. Let's begin. To understand why America openly supports Pakistan against India, you have to go back, way back, to a time when the world was split between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. During the Cold War, it wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about who was useful. And in that chessboard of global strategy, Pakistan became America's favored piece. In the 1950s and 60s, the U.S. was searching for strong allies near the Soviet Union's southern border. Pakistan offered exactly what Washington needed: access, geography, and a willingness to align. So the military aid began. The weapons, the funding, the intelligence sharing. It all flowed to Islamabad, and that early relationship wasn't built on shared values. It was built on mutual convenience. At the same time, India under leaders like Nehru chose a non-aligned path. India didn't dance to anyone's tune. It didn't want to be a pawn in a superpower game. It wanted sovereignty, independence, and self-respect. That stance didn't sit well with Washington. So while India looked inward to build itself, America looked outward, to Pakistan. That bond grew deeper during the 1980s, when America used Pakistan as a launch pad for its covert war in Afghanistan. Billions of dollars in weapons and training were funneled through Pakistan to fight the Soviets, and that alliance, built in shadows, left a legacy that still shapes U.S. Pakistan relations today. Decades later, those old alliances haven't disappeared. They've evolved. America may criticize Pakistan on the surface, but behind closed doors, that old trust, that old dependency, still lingers. When a relationship is rooted in decades of military strategy and political maneuvering, it doesn't break overnight. It hides in plain sight, and it quietly influences every move on the board. That's where the story begins. And the rest only gets more revealing. When you look at a map, you see borders. When a superpower looks at a map, it sees opportunities. And Pakistan's geography is one of the most valuable cards on that table. Sitting right between Afghanistan, Iran, China, and India, Pakistan holds a location that's far more than symbolic, it's tactical. For America, Pakistan is a geopolitical doorway. During the war in Afghanistan, it served as a key supply route for NATO forces. U.S. drones flew from bases inside Pakistan. Military cargo passed through its ports and airspace, and intelligence operations often depended on Pakistan's cooperation. You don't just walk away from that kind of access. You keep it alive, even if it comes at the cost of deeper alliances elsewhere. To the west, Pakistan borders Iran. Another nation the U.S. watches closely. Having a presence near Iran without stationing troops directly next door is a strategic dream. Pakistan provides that buffer. To the north lies China, America's primary competitor in the 21st century. Having eyes and influence near China's vulnerable underbelly through Pakistan gives Washington more leverage than most people realize. And to the east, India, a rising giant, a democratic force, and a nation increasingly independent of American influence. Supporting Pakistan, even quietly, gives the U.S. a way to apply indirect pressure on India when needed, without ever confronting it directly. Pakistan's terrain also plays a role. Mountainous regions make it difficult to monitor, perfect for covert operations. Its long coastline offers naval access points. Its proximity to Central Asia allows connection to emerging trade routes. Every angle of Pakistan's map tells a story of advantage. This is why America won't abandon Pakistan easily, because in the high-stakes game of global influence, geography is power, and Pakistan, for all its instability, sits in a place too valuable to ignore. In the high-stakes arena of global politics, every move is about control, not just of land but of influence, and for decades the United States has played a long, calculated game of containment. keeping rivals boxed in, never too powerful, never too free to move. Two of its biggest challenges today are China and Iran, and in that effort to contain them, Pakistan becomes a crucial piece on the board. China is expanding, economically, militarily, and diplomatically. Its Belt and Road Initiative, its presence in the South China Sea, its growing partnership with Russia. These moves make Washington uneasy. But what makes it even more complicated is China's deepening relationship with Pakistan. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC) is a major link in China's global vision, giving Beijing access to the Arabian Sea through Gwadar Port. Now, here's where America gets strategic. By keeping a channel of influence open with Pakistan, the U.S. doesn't aim to stop China directly. It aims to watch, react, and influence from within. It's about having a seat at the table, even if it's across from a rival. And then there's Iran, defiant, powerful, and resistant to U.S. pressure for decades. Pakistan shares a long border with Iran, and it has historically played both sides. For the U.S., this proximity offers opportunity. Supporting Pakistan gives Washington indirect leverage over Iranian movements, intelligence gathering, and regional diplomacy without putting American boots on the ground. Pakistan becomes the pivot. It can be used to observe, to mediate, to influence, or to disrupt. Without direct confrontation, that's the art of containment. You don't always need war to win control. Sometimes you just need to keep your enemy surrounded by uncertainty. And Pakistan's geography and willingness to engage give the U.S. exactly that: leverage without exposure, power without direct conflict. The United States has long claimed to be a champion of democracy, human rights, and justice. It speaks loudly about freedom, condemns authoritarianism, and positions itself as a global moral authority. But when it comes to foreign policy, those values often take a backseat to strategic interest. And nowhere is this double standard more visible than in its relationship with Pakistan. Pakistan has a documented history of military coups, political suppression, religious extremism, and harboring elements that have directly undermined regional stability. Yet, despite these realities, it continues to receive U.S. support, whether in the form of military aid, diplomatic leniency, or silence in the face of its internal contradictions. Why? Because in the world of geopolitics, convenience often outranks conviction. While America calls out human rights violations in one country, it turns a blind eye in another if the relationship serves its agenda. It's not about who follows democratic ideals. It's about who can be useful in the moment. And Pakistan, for decades, has played that role well. It has positioned itself as a gateway to the Middle East, a counterbalance to India, and a willing participant in U.S. military and intelligence operations. Meanwhile, India, despite being the world's largest democracy, often finds itself criticized, scrutinized, and pressured to conform to narratives shaped by Western interests. Why? Because India doesn't always play by America's script. It builds its own weapons, charts its own foreign policy, and aligns with both the West and East on its own terms. This exposes the truth. America's partnerships are rarely built on shared values. They're built on strategic use. Morality becomes a tool, highlighted when convenient, hidden when necessary, and Pakistan continues to benefit from that selective blindness, even when the truth is right in front of the world. There was a time when nations leaned heavily on the West financially, militarily, and diplomatically. But India has taken a different path. It doesn't ask for favors. It doesn't beg for recognition. It builds, it rises, and that self-reliance is beginning to make global powers, especially the United States, uncomfortable. India today is not the India of the past. It is a nuclear power, a space power, a technological leader, and an economic force. It trades with Russia, partners with France, builds with Japan, and still maintains ties with the U.S. But unlike many countries, India doesn't move based on pressure, it moves based on purpose. And that makes it difficult to control. The U.S. is used to allies that fall in line, that follow the script, that echo its positions on global stages. But India speaks its own language. whether it's refusing to condemn nations on Western terms, or buying oil on its own conditions, or staying neutral during major global conflict. India does what serves its people, not someone else's politics. This independence is powerful, but it's also inconvenient for those who want influence without resistance. And when influence doesn't work, alternative methods come into play, like backing the rival. Supporting Pakistan becomes more than a military tactic. It becomes a geopolitical message: follow us or we'll fund your opposition. But India isn't bending. It's not aligning out of fear or pressure. It's negotiating from strength, from growth, from centuries of resilience. And the more independent India becomes, the more it threatens the old world order where the West always led and the rest simply followed. This rising self-reliance, this refusal to be manipulated, is why America is quietly recalibrating, and why its old friendships, like the one with Pakistan, still linger in the shadows. Because control is easier when a nation isn't truly free. And India is walking into a future where freedom defines every move. For decades, the United States has maintained its global influence not just through diplomacy or war, but through a powerful, less visible tool: arms deals. Selling weapons isn't just business, it's control. When a nation buys American jets, tanks, or missiles, it doesn't just get equipment. It enters a relationship. That relationship comes with contracts, dependencies, upgrades, training, and in many cases, strings attached. Pakistan has long been part of that system. Billions of dollars in military aid and arms flowed from Washington to Islamabad, keeping Pakistan within America's strategic circle. Even when tensions flared or policies shifted, the defense relationship kept the door open. It was a way to keep leverage, keep Pakistan in check while benefiting economically and strategically, but India flipped the script. Instead of relying on a single supplier, India diversified. It bought from Russia, France, Israel, and yes, even from the U.S., but on its own terms. More importantly, India started investing in itself. Indigenous programs like the Tejas fighter jet, the BrahMos missile, and the Arjun tank are not just military tools. They are declarations of independence. India isn't just buying power, it's building it. That shift weakens America's traditional grip. A self-reliant India doesn't need U.S. weapons to prove its strength, and without that dependency, America loses one of its oldest tactics: economic leverage through defense contracts. So what happens next? The old playbook reopens by strengthening ties with Pakistan through training, intelligence sharing, or limited arms sales. America keeps influence in the region. If it can't control India through weapons, it will try to counterbalance it by lifting its neighbor. Because in global politics, control is currency, and when a nation like India stops paying that price, others are quietly empowered to step in and remind the world who used to hold the reins. India is not just rising, it's rising fast, and it's rising on its own terms. That reality sends waves through the global order, especially in Washington. Because for decades, power was supposed to follow a pattern. The West leads, others follow, but India isn't following. It's shaping a path so independent, so confident, that it's becoming impossible to ignore and harder to control. The fear isn't just about military strength or economic growth. It's about influence. India is building alliances without becoming a puppet. It's talking to Russia, trading with Iran, investing in Africa, launching satellites, and defending its borders, all while staying true to its own interests. That kind of balance makes global powers uncomfortable, because the more India grows without leaning on anyone, the more it sets an example others may follow. A strong, self-driven India threatens the monopoly on leadership that the West has enjoyed for centuries. It's a country rooted in ancient civilization, backed by modern technology, and driven by a population that is young, bold, and ambitious. The world isn't afraid of India's weapons. It's afraid of what India represents, a future where leadership isn't inherited, it's earned. And that future disrupts everything. It shifts alliances. It weakens old loyalties. It challenges narratives. That's why, even while publicly praising India, some Western powers still hedge their bets by supporting its rivals. It's not about loyalty, it's about leverage. Because the moment India becomes untouchable, undeniable, and completely self-defined, the old guard loses its grip, and the balance of power begins to tilt, not through war, but through will. That's what really shakes the global elite, not just that India is rising, but that it's rising without asking permission, and that makes all the difference. This isn't just about alliances or strategy, this is about truth. America's support for Pakistan isn't rooted in loyalty or morality. It's rooted in fear, in control, in the need to contain what it can't command. And India, rising with independence, strength, and clarity, isn't playing by their rules anymore. It's walking its own path, and that path threatens the old order. The world sees it. The game has changed. Good luck and thank you message. Thank you for standing with the truth. Keep seeking. Keep rising. Stay proud, stay strong, and may your voice never be silenced. Good luck, and see you in the next one.